Hello and welcome to another episode of the New York Film Academy Hour. This week we have the coordinator for the alumni department for the Los Angeles campus here in the studio to tell us not only about her film career, but about all the great things she does for the NYFA alumni. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hello, students, and welcome back. I'm Joelle.
And I'm Pega.
And we're super excited to be here today with Gabriela Egito, who is our alumni coordinator and who also has made a bunch of really amazing films herself, which we're excited to show you the trailers for. Gabriela, how you doing today?
Great. After that compliment, I'm better.
Excellent. We're just going to dive right in here and start with the first question that we ask everybody, which is when did you know that you were in love with cinema?
I think, well, I was very young. I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I went to see Grease.
Nice.
Yeah.
John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
Dancing on Cars.
Yes.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
That'll do
definitely.
And I loved her at the end when she comes all in black leather.
Yes.
And, you know, she's like rocking. And yeah, I thought, oh my God, that's great.
So you were attracted initially to the spectacle.
Yeah, I think so.
And how did those early films kind of shape you if you were in love with Grease? And were you, did you get into musical theater after that? Were you looking to write your own musicals after that? How did it affect you as a filmmaker?
No, never. I don't even watch that many musicals, it's not my style, but I love that one when I was a child. And as a child, I also used to write stories. So before I learned how to write, I would draw the stories, like each page would be a scene.
You were storyboarding your scenes.
Yes. And then I would tell my mother the story, and she would write down what it was. Yeah. So that's how it started. And then when you get older and people, I don't know. It's just something in life that people start to say, oh, well, yeah, that's nice. And you just think that you're not good enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left that on the side for a long time in my life. And I actually went to be a journalist.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What kind of stuff are you reporting on? And where?
In Brazil. I'm from Brazil.
Very cool.
So there I work on newspaper, like a newsroom for almost 2 years, with reporting on economics and business.
Wow, so serious.
Yes, very serious.
So wait, how does someone so creative-minded get involved in? I know there's a lot of creativity in journalism. But when I hear business, I start thinking numbers, and then my brain goes to sleep. How'd you get involved in reporting on business?
I think, well, that's actually something that I chose. When I graduated, I was offered some jobs. And when I got to this place, this newspaper was the second in the state. And they asked me, where do you want to work? Is it economics? We have openings everywhere. And since I had good grades, so I was recommended. So I got to choose. And I chose economics. I don't know. I thought it was important.
I think, it's super important.
It sounded like so socially relevant.
Oh, yeah. It's a good title, too. We were like, what do you do? Oh, I write about economics. That's very fancy.
So then what was your first job in the film industry after you did journalism?
I work on some short films back in hometown, but always not... We did a short film in which we had 3 or 4 directors. It was I didn't direct, actually. I had my name on the credits, but that's not directing. And and then I got to, so that was before the journalism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I went to graduate in journalism because in my hometown we also didn't have film schools. So it was something, and nobody makes money out of that there. So that's why I did journalism, because it's also telling stories in a different, real stories, but it's also writing and stuff like that I love. And but I parallel to that, I kept studying. So I studied a lot of screenwriting, a lot of books, and all the workshops that I could find, I always did. But it came to a point in my life when I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't happy because I wanted to do filmmaking. And that's when I saved for many years, and I decided to study at NYFA. So that's how I came in 2010 to do a 8-week workshop.
What made you choose NYFA?
I saw, well, I traveled to Europe, and I saw the ad on a subway in Paris, and I was very impressed. And then I think a year later, NYFA actually went to São Paulo, where I was living, and they did a workshop with the director that is the son of the Star Trek guy. I forgot his name.
Leonard Nimoy's son?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And when I watched that presentation, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. What is missing? And so I came. And also because I had so much, studied so much the theory side, and I wanted to practice it. So the hands-on aspect of the school really was sold to me, and I was like, yeah, that's it.
I feel like we find that to be the case with a lot of people that come in here. They've like spent their whole lives like reading about film or watching film or talking about film. And NYFA gives you a space where you can start actively creating movies, which is really exciting.
Totally.
You mentioned you started with an 8-week film writing or filmmaking workshop.
Yes.
And you made this great film, Synergy. Can you tell us what Synergy is about?
Yes. Yeah, so that's when I used my knowledge in business, and I created, this is a story, and it's a story that is only on one room, because that's one of the things that NYFA instructors, the instructor told me, you should try to create something with not many locations, because you won't have time to do that, and you should concentrate on the story, on the characters, and then just try to bring everything in. So it's a woman and a guy. They are from different companies, and the companies are merging together, and they both have the same position on those companies, and they're competing for a promotion. And so they got stuck in a room on a Sunday, and they are waiting for the boss to come, and they do their presentations in order to get the job.
I wonder if we could check out the Synergy trailer, because it was pretty boss. I enjoyed watching it, and I thought you were able to pull some really great performances from your actors. Let's take a look.
Oh, hi, Constantine. Didn't know you'd be here.
Mr. Navarro asked me to come here today, Amelia. It's the big day.
The big day.
Excuse me, is this the conference room? Oh my god, we're stuck. Oh, I must log from the outside.
So you're both regional managers? Really? And who has the best chances?
Me. I know how to boost sales.
I can cut costs and improve profit.
I know how to motivate people.
I don't like to brag about myself.
I'm not a control freak.
I'm not a blabbermouth.
I'm married. And my wife loves me very, very much.
Amazing.
I love watching people devolve. That's super funny.
So what inspired this story?
I had this idea for there was a competition in Brazil, like screenplays, and they had a set of rules, and one of them was to create something that wasn't in a room with 3 characters and stuff like that. So when the 8-week program was, I had to do the final film, I remember this. But the story that I had was on an elevator.
Oh.
Yeah, and the elevator was so expensive to rent for the
Wait,
shooting.
what? You would think that would be so, like, I've seen people get whole rooms or buildings for just a couple hundred. How much do they want to charge you to rent an elevator?
Well, it was because it's an elevator that has detachable walls, so you can place the camera in several places, and only the deposit was $3,000.
Wow.
That's
for
still-
students.
What? Pass. So you
And I
switched
said,
it.
no, I'm gonna change to a room.
A room.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So that's how, and I did the casting and everything.
What was the most challenging part of making the film?
I think it was because I haven't ever directed. Well, I had directed some short films during the program, but they are more simple. And this one, I wanted to go back to Brazil and make a good impression. So this would be my calling card. So I actually hire people. I didn't work just with the classmates. So I hired people and I got professional actors. And the AD kept like pushing me, like pressuring you. What's the next scene? And what is this? But it wasn't that bad. I mean, I wasn't like super nervous. It was just like it had to be made very fast. And we shot in 2 days.
Wow.
And just 8 hours each day. And the
You didn't even do
final-
full 12-hour days? My goodness.
Yeah.
That's a really fast turnaround. How did it
Yes.
feel coming out of it? Because I know after directing my first, I was like excited, but like exhausted. And then I feel like I had used all of my energy on set. Like I didn't save anything for post because I didn't think I would need it. And then I got to post where I was so exhausted and they were like, all right, let's go. We're starting cutting out. Like, oh my gosh, there's still so much work to do. How did you feel coming out of production and especially moving into post-production?
I didn't feel. The thing is, I realized that what I wanted to do with my life was really directing. So when I'm on set, it's just like heaven. It's just, I feel like I'm on the right place on the right time. It's like a connection to something divine.
Wow.
So,
That's an incredible.
I love
Yeah.
that description.
Definitely.
yeah.
So you got a scholarship for this film, and then you
Yes.
returned and did the 1-year
Mhm.
filmmaking program. Okay.
So one thing that was funny when I finished, I edited the film too. And I started to show people and they started to ask, but did you write this? But did you direct this? And I got really mad because people were like, they didn't trust that I could do something.
So they were like
Like
second
that.
guessing you. As,
Yes,
Wow,
yes. I
how
felt very
rude.
bad.
Yeah,
But then
of
a friend of mine told me that's because it's very good. So you did just an 8-week program. So how can you have such a and actually people after like some instructors told me that my film was had a better level than some of the thesis films from the 1 year.
Wow.
So that was why, and I was like, oh, okay, so now I like it.
Yeah, and that must have been
people ask me.
a great feeling to have jumping into the 1 year. You know, you're sort of on this high coming in.
Yeah.
Did that affect sort of how you went through the
so,
year?
So I show the short to the direction of the school, and they like it, and then they offered me the scholarship. I didn't think I was gonna get, but at the end of 8 week, I felt that I needed more practice to really merge my knowledge of film, like the theory, with the practice. So I wanted more, but I didn't have money anymore. So that's how I got the talent-based scholarship
That's incredible.
for the
Awesome.
1 year program. And so a week after I finished the 8 week, I was already in class again at the 1 year program.
I love how many people come back for multiple. They're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
no, I just got a taste and now I need more.
You do so much, and you're like, if I did so much in such a short time, a
Yeah.
year would be golden.
Definitely.
You know, or longer.
Yes.
So what is
yes.
that year like for you? Like, take us through, like, the 8-week program is pretty straightforward. Like, you do a little bit of practicing, and then you're going to make your short afterwards. The year is definitely more intensive. NYFA is very much known, as you mentioned earlier, for not just being hands-on, but for kind of being a career as a student. There's not a lot of time to do other things. You spend a lot of time in the classroom, a lot of time working on your projects. What was that year like for you?
Heaven. Because I was doing what I love to do all the time.
So you never went home and you're like, oh gosh, I'm so tired. How am I going to do the next 6 months of this? Or, oh gosh, I can't believe we have like 8 assignments to do this week. That feeling never washed over you? You were always just super excited about it?
No, I was excited. Of course, you get tired because it's like 10 hours a day of classes, and then you still have to do the homework for the next day, and you don't have almost any day of the week to rest, really. But it's so exciting at the same time.
So the
Yeah.
next film that you did was called Stuffed.
Yeah, actually, Stuffed is my thesis film from the 1 year program.
Okay.
And Taken for Granted, which is the other film, it was the first semester. But
Okay.
I released it afterwards, after Stuffed. So the first film that I sent to festivals was Synergy, but it wasn't like I didn't submit to many places. But Stuffed, I thought it would be a better choice. Like I could have more chances of winning.
Tell us about Stuffed. What happens in that film?
So that film was it's adapted from a short story from a writer from Brazil that I actually know. He was my creative writing teacher.
Oh, wow.
there. Yes. So I didn't have any ideas for my thesis film because the thing is I think I tried to make it always everything better. And so I was like, none of the stories were good enough, you know?
I like
For me,
that.
like, oh my God, I have no ideas and stuff like that. So I wrote to him and I said, hey, do you have short stories that I could adapt? And he sent me 5. I chose that one. When I read it, I was like, oh my God, this is everything that I want to do in my life because I love noir movies. And this is a Private Eye story.
Yeah.
So it's very new noir. And it has all the cynicism and the sarcasm, and it's a thriller. And I just loved it because it's so, like, it draws so much from noir movies from the 50s.
It really does. Let's take a look at this trailer because
Yes.
this one was fun and a little creepy.
My partner. I believe he's stealing from me. I just don't know how.
Frankly, I didn't see it coming. Wild and unpredictable stuff happens. After centuries of experience, I still can't figure out exactly what triggers that.
This, and you have to shape up.
In my business, I try to remain uninvolved. I'm not paid to care about anybody. But I can't help feeling responsible for what happens, you know?
I know I have no right to ask you this, but I do ask you. Please don't tell anyone.
What, there's more?
But wild and unpredictable stuff does happen.
That's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the casting process for this.
So yeah, the story. Let me just tell you the story. So it's the Private Eye. He's hired by this guy that has an advertising agency to find out if the partner is embezzling from the company, and then a lot of unexpected things happen. And the casting. Well, Phil Myler he's Brazilian actually. Yeah, he doesn't have an accent, right? He's amazing. And he's a known actor in Brazil, and I met him on another shooting that I did here. I was a script supervisor on a short film, and I met him. And so when I saw this character, I thought of him, and I invited him. But Private Eye, Stephen Bartlett is the one. It was a very hard process to do. I looked through 3,000 headshots.
Wow.
On all the casting websites that have actors.
Wow.
And then I invited 20 actors to the audition. So it wasn't an open audition. And from those ones, I chose Steven. He was, when he entered, I said, well, that's him.
Wow.
I always think casting is such an interesting part of the filmmaking process because it usually happens very fast, and so much of the film depends on getting that part right. What were you looking for as you were picking your 20 guys to come in?
I didn't want pretty guys and pretty and young guys because the character of the Private Eye, he's something else in the story too, because the short story is based on a famous classic novel in Brazil called The Devil to Pay in the Backlands. So from there, you kind of have an idea where the character is going. So I didn't want a pretty guy and everything like that. And it was more like how to deliver the lines. the way that I imagined when he read it, it was just, he got exactly what I wanted.
That's so cool to have like your imagination just come to life in front of you, and you're like, that's it. I like that.
Yes, that's the magic of filmmaking.
Did you guys have any time to do rehearsals? And if so, how did
we
that work?
did table readings.
Okay. Just multiple table readings?
I think two. Yes.
And did you feel as a director that got everybody where they needed to be? Or was it, you know, it gave you an idea of where to start once you got on set?
No, I think the way that I work with the actors, I explain the characters to them. Like, how are they feeling that way, what they're going through on that scene. So I don't tell the actor, you should say this line this way. You know, they get to that place by the way that I describe it. And sometimes they actually do it better than I imagine. So I love the process of collaborating, and they bring me stuff that is a lot better. Sometimes.
That's incredible.
Most of the times, I think, when you have a good actor on set, yes, that's what happens.
Was there anything specific that they were able to surprise you with that maybe really stands out? Or was there maybe a scene or a moment in the film where you were like, dang, this is really hitting it. Like, they're doing so much more than I had pictured.
I think, well, when I saw everything together, like the dialogues with Phil and Steven, it was very good. When I saw it the first time, I was like, because it was very hard to adapt, because we think, oh, the story is already, it's something that I adapt. But no, I changed scenes. I created new scenes because the short story is all in the first person. So it's all the perspective of the private eye. So it doesn't have a lot of stuff that it's, the film starts with Phil Myler, the character of Phil Myler, jumping from a roof.
Wow.
Jumping from the building. And that was the end of the story. So, and I added other things as well.
I cannot wait to watch this movie. It sounds so exciting.
Yes. And it's funny because people say, like, that doesn't feel like a story directed by a woman, which is like...
It makes me so angry.
Catherine Bigelow is right there making, like, masculine movies all the time and still being a very feminine woman. Like, I don't understand why this is such a hard concept. Like, a woman understands, like, the language of men. Like, yeah, we've been preached it our entire lives. Like, we see it consistently. Foolishness.
Yeah. I think it's because it's tough, you know. It has, like, scenes that are impactful. So I don't know, sometimes people have the impression that a woman is more... I don't know, more romantic, more, yeah, because there's even like sexual harassment in the story.
Which, who would know more about that?
Yeah,
I just,
yeah, right?
What women are doing all day. It's just so weird to me. But I'm interested to hear what you learned from this experience, and did making this film change you as a filmmaker at all?
Change me? I think it was my opportunity to put everything together at the end of the 1-year program, like everything that I had learned. Because in fact, on the set, I was commanding 50 people. So it's like a lot of people, and to feed and to see all the aspects. Of course, I had a producer to help me, but I was producing myself as well. So that, and there was like so many things. So I had to actually postpone the shooting because the production designer that I had, she jumped out of the production 2 days before, and she hadn't done the things that she was supposed to do, and that's why she left. And so I had things like that because that was shot on South Central LA, so it was a loft, like a huge loft, and I had to build walls and to do the sets and bring in the furniture and everything. So it was complicated, I think, to do, you know. And we had to work also, since we had lights and all the gear, but we didn't have as like super, because this wasn't a short film that was too expensive, you know. And so we worked with daily light, because the loft had like huge windows, but that was also a challenge for the DP to coordinate that stuff.
You got to match the light.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, and all the scenes had to be on exact hour shooting.
I'm picturing a lot of bounce boards, like a lot of like just force the natural light, push it up as much as you can.
Yes, and also on the scenes that were supposed to be night, we had to cover all the windows.
Oh my
so I had to
gosh.
buy tons of trash bags, the black ones, and cover it.
Oh my gosh, what an ordeal.
Yes.
This film, we saw all the laurels in the trailer. What was your festival plan like? You had mentioned a little bit earlier with, I'm so sorry, Synergy that you had, you planned a couple of festivals that you wanted to send it to, but this, it seems like you kind of ran the whole gauntlet of festivals. How did you plan to send this out?
Well, I did a list at first. I mean, I was showing the film to my friends and people like instructors, and everyone was like, "Oh, this film is so amazing! I love it!" And we had, the final screening at Warner as our graduation, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, your film seems like a real film!"
Oh,
that's the best compliment, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't fit. Yeah, whenever somebody says, "Oh, that doesn't look like a student film," you're like, "Yes, I get it! Finally, I'm a real filmmaker now."
But I sent to all like the big festivals, and the first 20 responses that I got was a no.
Oh wow!
It was rejected by 20 festivals
up front, right in a row.
Yes. So then I sat down and said, I must be doing something wrong, because if the film is good, why is not being accepted? And then I started to study about that. So the thing is, it's a genre film. It's a thriller, and it's very specific. It's neo-noir. So it doesn't, the big festivals, they are interested in another kind of movies, another kind of films. So I started to submit to right places. And then I got 5 or 6 awards with it, and 3 or 4 nominations.
That's incredible.
And then I started like to win in a row, like
what a
every festival,
feeling. Yeah.
every festival it was accepted and got an award. I was like, oh, okay, now I understand.
Persistence is always key, most definitely. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the process of going from being a student to working for NYFA. How did that happen?
So I did, after the 1-year program, I did the OPT, which all the international students can apply for. And part of the
what
time,
is you said
the OPT, it's optional practical training. And it's a permit, a special permit that the U.S. government gives to international students, so they can work for 12 months after their graduation in the field that they graduated.
How does one apply for that? I mean, I know in the application process only, but
yes, you go to the international department and they do everything for you.
Oh, excellent!
Yes,
I like easy.
Yes. Hey, I want to stay. Okay,
done. Signatures.
Yes. So and then you are able to work either with payment or without payment, but either ways work. And so I work on some projects outside of the school. But I wanted to also, I was out of cash.
Oh, no.
So I started to work at NYFA first as Brazil Outreach, because I had a blog during that time called Brazilian Girl in LA.
Oh, nice.
That's
where
cool.
I told all my adventures, like the classes and all the stuff. So a lot of people were looking into it to have an idea how it was to study at NYFA.
Sure.
And so I started to do that process of doing kind of admissions, but it was just like me telling me my experience doing that in Portuguese to Brazilians, and also I was managing social media for Brazil from NYFA, but that was for a year. And then after that, I left because my OPT expired, and then I applied for a artist visa, but then I didn't work at NYFA for a long time. And last year they called me back. They wanted to do the Alumni Association, and that's how we discussed so I could come back and create that for all over the world, not just for Los Angeles.
Excellent. Becca, is the original video working? The one that was pulled up in the deck? Because if that one is, I think we can roll that. I had our media department put together like a highlight reel of some of the alumni who've graduated, telling their stories, and I was hoping, if we can, to screen it. I just think it's really cool to see like all the stuff that the alumni are doing.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about like what you're hoping to do with the alumni. Like, you get this job, it's a new position. What are Gabby's goals for the alumni program?
Well, I want to bring everyone together because, you know, the majority of our students are international. And although most of them stay for the OPT, after that finishes, they go back to their countries. And they kind of lose touch with the NYFA community. I mean, they receive emails and stuff like that, but we don't have a networking platform. And that was my first goal, and I'm working on that now to create this worldwide.
I've seen the images coming along. It looks so good.
The worldwide platform. So it's going to be like a private Facebook just for NYFA people.
Great.
And also we will have job leads and all the events that are happening. We can create groups for each part of the world.
Oh, wow.
So even in the countries that we don't have a NYFA representative or a NYFA campus, we can have a group there of alumni. And that way, I hope that we can work more together, you know.
Definitely.
Absolutely, because if there's a whole bunch of Brazilians who go back to Brazil, they can stay in touch and make films there together, or you know, work on projects. So.
And even if they are doing, I don't know, a feature film or something like that, it's different to work with people from NYFA because you know what kind of education they got. The best.
You're already speaking the same language.
You know
definitely
what's gonna happen on the set. People know exactly what they're doing. It's totally different.
Well, let's check out this reel of some of our amazing alumni.
Hello, my name is John Mankin. I'm alumni from New York Film Academy. I'm on Love on Netflix, season 2 on episode 10 and 11. My character is Victor. He's a famous action movie director. It's incredible. This is based on my experience from NYFA. NYFA teachers, they taught me a lot. Audition technique, acting for film, minor technique. The great thing is they're working actor. They're gonna teach you how you can use this theory or technique on set.
Margaret.
You had a lot of chance to be in front of the camera, right? That experiencing itself, that gave me my foundation to be an actor in Hollywood.
Hi, my name is Konkana Chakraborty and I'm from India. I am a documentary filmmaker and I came to New York Film Academy to study Masters in Acting.
Before NYFA, I wanted to make a film, it's a documentary, about violence against women. In India, almost all the goddesses that we pray to are women. So my documentary was like, when men pray to goddesses, then why do they prey upon women? This famous Bollywood actor from India, Sir Amitabh Bachchan, I met him before like twice. I'm like, sir, I'm making a documentary which is violence against women. Would you like to be a part of it? He was like, yeah, sure. And the night I filmed him, he wrote an entire blog on me. Then, I mean, it was just the media people and they just brought it to a different height, and now it's like in festivals, and the level that it achieved, I never thought it would. I had my bachelor's in filmmaking, so I really wanted to learn something which I want to. When you perform and when you have the audience in front of you, oh my God. Because of NYFA, I was introduced to the platform of theater. Theater is, I feel, so much more similar like documentary filmmaking. I think that was the connecting point that made me realize that I love this form. It's just fascinating. Theater is the best. I think because I love documentary so much, it's the truth, you know? When you're trying to capture a moment, what's there, it's there. If you miss it, you just go on with that. And that's theater. So that's the thrill, I think. I love it.
Just like the documentary changed me, acting changed me, I can say, to sum it up, it made me a better human being. It just became another option for a career because I am madly in love with it. Yeah, I love it.
Hi, my name is Abby Sleichik, and I'm in the BFA Acting for Film program. I just really like Pixar movies, and I also just really like cartoons. I've been able to work and figure out how to use different parts of my voice. My alter ego's name is Lily.
There's a giant acting program and there's a giant filmmaking program, but right now I'm going to talk to you about the acting program.
I really just want to be known to be in like a Pixar movie and be like, I was in that.
If somebody recognizes you 17 years later after you did something in your childhood, then you know it's big. That was my first big project and it gave me everything. I worked with Shah Rukh Khan. It was directed by Karan Johar. It was a huge movie, and then I started working a couple of commercial TV shows, and then I stopped. So I took a sabbatical for a very long time. That let me also concentrate on my studies. I started working again when I was 18. Then I decided to study acting. That's when I looked up NYFA in 2011. I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to go study and do my one-year grad. I was all set. And then I randomly auditioned for Student of the Year on the side again. 5 days before flying out for New York Film Academy, I got Student of the Year. So after that film, I did Dancing with the Stars, and I did Fear Factor. I did a lot of stuff for MTV. I had my own show. Now I want to go back to NYFA. Hi, I'm Sana Said, and I'm studying in New York Film Academy. I'm doing the acting and the filmmaking programs. When I came here and I saw my schedule, wow, I don't have time for anything. We had homework that was like go home and study your monologue and come back the next day, write your own monologue. The teachers here really want you to grow, and they really want you to be good at what you love to do. We shot a lot in the Universal back lot. Wow, like we're on the set of Desperate Housewives. I love the stage classes because that taught me a lot of learning how to get into different roles. Because I'm really big on people like Meryl Streep. I came here for acting, but I know that I've taken more back home from filmmaking. As an actor now, it helps me knowing what the director is expecting of me. And as a filmmaker, it helps me because I know now what the actor is expected of me. The main thing that I actually learned is storytelling. You can be the best director, but if your story isn't working for you, nothing is going to work for you. There's so much hands-on practical that I've done that there's no way I'm forgetting this because I've done it. Now I can be in front of camera, I know how to operate the camera, I know how to edit. 4 weeks I have a film that's made by me? Like, that's amazing.
So those are some of our really amazing, incredible, standout alumni who've just been doing amazing things. And one of the things I think is so interesting that you've started is you're now doing a screening once a month where we're essentially spotlighting an alumni. How did you get this idea, and what was your hope in bringing the alumni back to NYFA?
Well, that's something that we discussed with the Dean of Students, Kelly Gardner. And we wanted to have something that was like a once a month, not like something that when it comes up we do it, you know. So we wanted to create a habit of gathering the alumni and also students, because students also go to the alumni screening. And it's interesting to see, like, it's like seeing you in 5 years, you in 10 years, where you can get with the education that we get there. So it's sharing the hacks of the industry, how you can do stuff. So today, this night, for instance, we're gonna have Daniel Lusko.
Yes.
And yes, he's producing and directing his 3rd feature. Ooh. And he graduated at NYFA 10 years ago, so 2007. So now it's 2017, and he already has 2 features on his resume, and he's working with stars and studios on this next film of his.
Very
and
exciting.
He's gonna share all the details tonight with the audience.
So it starts at 7 p.m. So in 2 hours at the Riverside Building, in the theater on the 2nd floor. If you guys want to come check that out, definitely do. What I find kind of incredible about this, I was at the last one where we had the guy who was in Death Note on Netflix, who is one of the tallest character actors in the world. He's 7 feet, or is
Yeah,
he?
he's 6'5", something.
He is too, like, it's very tall
He's
man.
very tall.
And he's very slim, and he plays all these really cool creatures and stuff.
Oh,
And it was
that's so
cool because he didn't want to leave afterwards. Like, he was in the garage talking to students as security was closing the building, giving them advice, like giving them his phone number, being like, reach out to me, like, talk to me. We have another kid, Ryan, who's very tall, and he was giving him advice on how to break into the industry so he could do the exact same thing. I think that that's incredibly valuable, especially for someone who's just had their big break. We have a lot of big stars who come in and they talk about kind of making your way through the industry, and all of the information you can get is valuable when you're entering entertainment. But to hear a guy who just been cast in his first major role be like, here's what I did. I worked out every single day, and then I would just walk into casting offices and be like, hey, here's my stuff. Do you like it? Maybe pick me. That kind of really exciting energy made it feel possible and tangible that everyone in that room could have a job within a year. And I think that that's a hard energy to capture. And so it made me really value these screenings. What have you come to learn from attending these screenings or hosting these screenings?
That's exactly what you said so perfectly. But also, like, to create that sense of community.
Yes.
That's my goal, you know, because it's a star is someone that comes, but it's also someone that went through the same steps as us that study there. So it's kind of, it's our people. Our family, something like that. So I think that's very important to create. That's what is gonna last.
Absolutely.
You know.
Are you
that
working
sense.
on any projects yourself next, or?
Yes, I'm writing some things. I still haven't decided if it's gonna be a feature or a TV series, but yes, yeah, and it's gonna be something different because now that I lived so many years here, I have a different view of the culture, and I can talk about that because when I came here, it was like the idea that I had about American movies and the idea that I had about American culture, and now I can, I think, talk from a place that is different.
First-hand experience now.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so excited to see that. I love hearing other voices look at America and see. They say the best comedians are Canadian because they are not from America, but they understand it very well.
Right.
So we're looking forward to your film. When it comes out, you need to tell us so we can have you come back and we can talk about the process of making that. Is it going to be a feature or a short?
No, feature.
Yes. Because I want to hear all about you making your first feature.
That's what I need.
Gabriela, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so lovely having you in the studio. Guys, come back next week and we're going to have NYFA alumni here. Super excited to talk about his, I believe this is his first feature. He was a cinematographer. It just had a great run at the Lemley in Encino. So you definitely want to come check out all of his knowledge, hear what he has to say about his film Slip Away. Until then, I've been Joelle.
I've been Pega.
And this was the NYFA Hour. We'll see you guys next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.